Good evening, everyone. It is actually Monday night, and it looks like I slipped into a new pattern over the course of this term, where I usually got to do things Sunday nights, but the weather and everything in my travel schedule with coaching has really been just knocked sideways, and so I really want to apologize. I'm getting out of a routine, but I think we found a new one that seems to be working, so I'm very pleased to be talking to you at least a little bit at the beginning of each week, and we can go over where we've been and what we're going to do. So last week was kind of a fun discussion for a lot of people. I noticed a lot of us tending to slip back, I think, a little bit where we were looking at, once again as fans, that discussion of what are players worth and how do we determine how those exorbitant salaries are determined. And I noticed I said exorbitant. Yeah, I think they're kind of crazy. I just have noticed over my lifetime, literally lifetime, as a sports fan, how things just have gone really out of control. How this numbers have just spiraled upwards, and it's almost insane the amount of money that people make in sports. But when you look at how the fact that most teams are profitable, most leagues are profitable while paying out this kind of money to players, and players are, employees. There are star employees, but that's what they are, covering that expense and still making money for the rest of the operation. It's amazing the amount of money that comes in, and I think we've seen over the course of our studies that money comes from a lot of sources, and a lot of us are still worried about the fact of ticket sales and things like that, and we've seen that that's really not the big source, is it? It's television. We're in the entertainment industry, and this is how things happen. We're competing for our share of that fan's entertainment dollar, and that dollar has many ways to go, and to get that share you need the biggest stars on the biggest stage, and that costs money, and that's what we're seeing. Alright, for the last 2 weeks of the course, this is what we're going to do. We're shifting into the world of college and amateur sports. And even though we've written this course quite some time ago and paid attention to some very serious issues, and you'll see that the last 2 weeks are structured around discussions of Title IX, and probably just about every sport management course you've taken so far has gone into a discussion of Title IX. And then the last week we will look at the current issue, and it popped up again in a different context just a week or two ago, of whether Division I athletes should be paid in college sports. And we're just really going to go with college sports. So the thing that I want to do probably is we'll be a little bit more flexible in the discussion board. I may add a question or two, but not necessarily a new thread so that you're doing a whole new discussion, but actually encourage us to think a little bit more expansively about the business of amateur sports. Now, that may be a little bit of a convoluted statement for some people, but it's the business of amateur sport. Look at this weekend. College football probably got almost as much attention as pro football. The institution of the college football playoff, what has that meant? The stories that came out of Louisville and the whole latest twist in the basketball scandal just highlighted the amount of money that's flowing around college sports, some in channels that people don't want to be recognized. So I'd like us to examine that in a very interesting way. Again, let's try to stay out of that emotional tie-in of being fans and basketball fans or football fans or whatever, but thinking about it as being business analysts. What opportunities are there? Why do universities have sports in the first place? Are they of different value at the three different divisions in NCAA sports? What does it do for a school to have a successful sports program? These are some questions I'll be able to bring to the fore, and maybe the easiest way for me to do it is to include several more videos that I can put together really quickly and ask some questions. So be on the lookout for that. It'll be the closest thing to coming what I really wanted to do at the beginning of the semester, which was to have that synchronous discussion. We could never quite figure out the technology, and unfortunately it won't help us out too much in the last 2 weeks of this class, but we are finally, as a university, adding a tool to Blackboard called Blackboard Collaborate that's going to allow that to be done very easily. So maybe the next batch of sport management, sport economics students are going to have the advantage of taking advantage of and using that to take care of that little problem. So still might make one more try at it. I'm a pretty stubborn guy. I don't give up on stuff like that. But maybe we'll do the next best thing, and I'll try to do a series of question asking videos that people can ask them. Maybe insert them right into the discussion board, because that might be a way to get things going. Okay. I've also included in week 7 a lengthy set of instructions about what your final exercise is going to be. Again, just like the midterm, it's not going to be a final exam. It's going to be a final project, a way for you to tie together so many of the different things that we've been talking about. And I'd like you to read those instructions, and if you have questions about them, let's get them out, and get them out now, so that we can you can spend next week concentrating on doing the job that you're all capable of doing. Okay, again, I've really appreciated the work that people have done this mod. I think people have done a wonderful job of keeping the discussion going. There really hasn't been a reason for me to try to stick my nose in too often and dominate it, maybe to ask a question here and there, but that's about it. So this has been, so far, I've really appreciated the comments I've gotten from several of you, especially on the nature of that midterm exam. A lot of you did find it interesting, and I hope you saw my recording of what Ted Leonsis, the Wizards owner, had to say about it a few years ago. So that's it for tonight. Again, my apologies for being a little bit late, but I think it's early enough in the week to where we can take advantage of a full week's work. Hard to believe there's only 2 weeks to go. It's been a lot of fun so far, and let's finish it with having some really good discussions and good thoughts about the whole world of sport economics. Okay, thanks very much.